Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Agile Network India's May 2021 events, and all set for our next session talk from Gurugram chapter on how to build high-performing engineering teams during COVID, where we have Vatsalya Jain, who is a Senior Director of Product Engineering at Inc. So let's begin with this session in a couple of minutes. Before that, let me thank our founding sponsors, Innovation Roots, which is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. You can find out more details at www.innovationroots.com. We would like to thank our sponsor Agile, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services. And it is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Agile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, LESS, and more. You can try out Agile for free for up to 20 users for 30 days by signing up at agile.io, or you can reach out to any of us from the community management team for any inquiries or setting up exclusive product demo. You can check out the Agile page on Agile Network India's website for more information. You can find out the link in the chat box for your reference. Here are simple do's and don'ts for our participants. I request everybody to join 5 minutes prior to each event so that you're properly settled before we begin with the session. You can use high quality speakers or headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and videos disabled as this may cause disturbance to the speaker or the presenter, and it may cause bandwidth issues. Questions will be taken via chat box, so any point of time you have question for the speaker, you can put it in the chat box, and at the end of the session, one of the facilitator or moderator will read out the questions to the speaker as per the time available in the hand. Also, at the end of the event, we will be sharing the feedback form link in the chat box. Please take a couple of minutes to fill in your inputs there to help us improve in future events. We appreciate your cooperation in following these simple steps. And now, without any further delay, let me call upon Vatsalya for his session. So over to you, Vatsalya.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Hope everybody had lunch and it has been a safe weekend for all of us. So let me share my screen. Okay. Hi everyone, good afternoon. So my name is Vatsalya and thank you for Agile Network India for giving us a platform to talk about one of the key things that we've been going through in like everybody's working from home and we are amidst of a laptop and a mobile and an internet to be our best buddy these days. And obviously a lot of shouting at home along with kids and families to manage work. But while we do that, we still have the endeavor or the business need to to build teams, work collectively together and take things to the next level. So here I am, I'll talk about an experience, like how do we build a high performance engineering teams basis an experience, and it will probably give you an insight of how teams are, like what does it take to build a team and take it to perfection in this COVID times. Before moving on, I'll just give a quick intro about myself. So my name is Vatsalya. I work as Senior Director Product Engineering with a product-based organization of Gurugram, which is INCIDO. It's a US-based consulting organization. Been in the industry for almost like 22 plus years. I have strong expertise in product engineering, product management, and have led large-scale digital transformation programs for enabling customers to get into the high technology bandwidth. I've worked with organizations like Dell, Itzel Technologies, and Global Logic, and have had a small startup of my own. And I worked in the US for almost 6 years before I came back to India. My key interests and passions are I like working with teams. I'm a hands-on leader. Love working with them, building new things, making teams with empowering teams for them, so that they can take things to the next levels. Again, a pure technology guy. I can like live, breathe technology. I love numbers. I'm pretty fond of traveling and meeting a lot of. Okay, let's move on. Okay, I do not have clear, like I got an understanding that the audience folks in this group would be basically into three sections. One would be people who are hiring. These people have a key role in building teams. For leaders, then the key takeaway for them would be like, how do we build teams? How do we seed people? How do we nurture and build an environment where teams can flourish? For people who are leading these teams, something like team leaders, project leaders, and track leaders, my takeaway or my thought would be that you guys should be able to understand what does it take to lead existing teams or future teams, and how do we enable that environment. For individual contributors, which could be developers, testers, or any team members, it is like they should understand what are the key ingredients and how they can contribute to the success of the team by upholding these values and taking them. Quick agenda: we have 45 to 55 minutes. For first 5 minutes, we'll talk about what does it mean. Then I'll give you a very easy example which can correlate and it can reverberate in your mind. How do we map it to one of very easy to digest examples? And then I'll talk about a case study which is relevant, which is something that I did in the recent past where we built teams. What does it take for teams to be built? What are the ingredients? How is it done? And I'll open it up for all of us to talk about and debate and see if we can do it better. And in the last, as Nupur said, we'll talk about 10 minutes for, I will pick up the few question and answers that we'll talk about. Okay, so trivia time. So audience on the call. So there are 6 pictures. I would like you to think about each of this picture and think of one English word that comes to your mind, and you can possibly write it in chat. What do you see in these pictures? What is the first impression that you get out of these pictures?
It's a teamwork.
God, please going.
Collaboration, we get focus, team up, common goal, looking to achieve target, taking risk, contribution and collaboration, high performing team, working together for a goal, unity, common goal. So these are some couple of things which talk about common goal, working together for the same goal. So these are some common words that people have shared. Team effort, teamwork, same mindset.
Okay, cool. I think everybody has understood the concept very well. So, okay, good. Result oriented, team effort, very well articulated team. I think this is very imperative coming out of these pictures. I'll give you a quick like thought on the first picture that if you see any thoughts on the particular top left picture where people are rowing. It's like a 4 people team. They're trying to row in red color. Any particular observation that you have? Good.
So it's
Synchronization is
synchronization. Yeah.
very well said. Rhythm, cool. Any particular thought on the picture on the below that where there's a team of doctors working on a patient? If you see, they all are not doctors. There are people who are helping also. Same intention. Very good, Yashankar. Priyank said COVID. Yes, COVID is the end result which you don't want to go for the kill. Dedication. Cool. I think, yep, I think most of us have captured the points. So my key observations, as you said, teamwork, working towards a common objective, very well said. Direction, very nice, Nupur. One key thing is confidence and trust on each other. Any pictures that, for example, the picture on the right where a person is on standing on people and folding a matka. So it is like confidence and trust where he knows that he will not fall because there are people beneath him. pictures on the right where people are like they're skydiving and they are all in the same tandem. It's like very well coordinated. They respect and they're helping each other. And any thoughts on the picture in the center which says champion? Siddharth, very well said. Winners. These are champions. These are people who are celebrating success. So they had a common vision. They had a common path to tread, and the result same, and they're enjoying it. So if you look at these pictures, it spells out the ingredients of being a high performance team already. And you guys have captured it. Working together, having trust, celebrating together towards a common objective. And these are the topics that we'll talk about in next of our slides. So we talked about pictures. Now let's get back to theory. As per Wikipedia, if you Google what is a high performing team, so there are few things that you'll get to know. It talks about teams which are highly focused, which have their goals very well defined, which can achieve superior business results. So I'll take a pause and make you and go back. In the pictures we saw that their focus levels were high, they were sprinting towards a common goal. But what is the end result that we see out of here? The key ingredient is they achieve superior business results. So we all watch cricket, but if you have observed teams like New Zealand or teams like England, they do not have a Sachin Tendulkar or a Virat Kohli, but then they are considered to be the best teams in the world because they work collectively together, and the results and their output is far better than any other teams. So the energy levels they bring together is the end result is they achieve very superior higher business results, and that marks the amalgamation or the formation of a high performance team. It does not need to have a star person in the team to make it successful. Any ordinary person with this criteria that you guys have already identified will make a team highly successful, and they will achieve their business objectives easily with a wow factor. So it's all about how we oriented people. Again, these people are not born, they are not, these features are not inculcated in them right from a long tenure. It's the environment that where we live and work together which enables that team to success. Next line, if you read, there's a very important word which talks about high performance teams outperform all other similar teams, and given their compositions. So their mantra is not to do what they are supposed to do. They will anyways do that. But what they will bring to the table, what they will deliver would definitely be much higher than what they were initially slated to. So that is basically an essence of a high performance team working together a common objective with such energy that they'll make a big impact on the customers, on the stakeholders, on themselves as well. I'll move on, and this is a concept that we spoke about. Now let me give you a very easy analogy that all of us would be able to understand it in very one go. I believe all of us, like it's an Indian crowd, and we are very passionate of being in India. So whenever Tricolor is hosted, so there's a different energy that comes in on all of us. So so these are the components that we talked about. All of us called out clear common vision. The one in the top, everybody was aiming for a cricket match or it's a rowing competition. We have a club common vision. We are here to win. We will make an impact. What does it take? We have the right team. So we should have people who are specific, who know what is to be done. Right mindset. It's not about all having Sachin Tendulkars, but people who should be like, I will not let this go. So this is what the team is all about. We have an empowering environment. It is not people dictating teams. These people, like in terms of agile as well, these are called as self-motivated teams, self-organizing teams. So it is like people take decisions, they own it, they drive it. Clear defines roles and responsibilities. This is a very important mantra that many of us, what I've seen in my experience, is not there. There are blurred lines between what people do, what they're supposed to do, and versus what when they get in an ecosystem. If there are conflicts, if there are overlaps, then definitely there is a fall. So who does what in that team, and there's a mutual trust and respect factor that should be held for making people to know that this is your area, you are the expert, we trust you, you make it happen. This also inculcates, there's an important aspect that we have open and respectful communication. There should be no politics. It should be clear trust factor. We talk our concerns. If we are not good, let's bring it to the table, let's talk about it, and let's get it cleared up. That is very, very important for this environment for people to thrive, communicate, have trust on each other, and perform. One mantra which the startups in the world that you've seen who have been successful, they've been on innovation. The environment is you innovate, you bring two things to the table, you bring things to the table. If it fails, it's fine, but as long as they're learning for all of us, it should be like we should be trending on, we should be going on. So innovation, acceptance of being failures, learning on would definitely be an ingredient for a HPT to perform. And definitely last but not the least, let's celebrate success. We work hard, we party harder is the mantra that we should live, and that makes teams cherish, sit back and relax what they've done, and then they go forward. This in nutshell, simple elements of how performing teams. Now let me give you a very easy analogy to it so that you don't need to memorize it. It will be very clear when we talk through it. I'll talk about a movie example. Like I believe most of us are movie buffs. We see a lot of movies, but there is one movie that there are certain movies that fit in this concept of high performing teams. I'm at Indian by heart, very passionate. So I picked up a movie called Mission Manga. So I'll talk you through a journey of this movie. There are a lot of takeaways, but how does it connect with having a perfect performance team? First of all, we talked about a clear and common vision. So that is one of the eight building blocks of this. This team, if you, I believe everybody have watched that movie. So first objective is for having a clear and common vision. What do the teams do? What is the objective? What they want to do? So the intent is they have a target to be done. They have to launch a satellite in Mars. There is a finite time which is associated. So these 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 projects and these programs are not infinite. They have a boundary defined, a fixed duration, a fixed budget, not a very high quality, high experienced team. They're experimenting out. The risk factors are high. Rates depend on lot many things, but they have a very clear and common vision. They have to send a satellite in space. They have to set up satellite into that can orbit Mars. Made an attempt, very high risk, but again they were very clear that this they want to do. First of all, what does it take? We'll build a high energy team. We get people who are specialists in their areas. Six individuals that you see on the screen are people, they are experts in their areas. They may not be the best of the world, but they know their job well. They can experiment, they can innovate, they can figure it out. They all do not overlap each other, and there is a level of ownership amongst them. So these are like the motivation levels, the energy, the attitude. Very key important to word is to notice attitude and aptitude. They have a very strong inclination to make things done. They will go out. They do not need a mentor to tell them what to be done. They're self-motivated. So that forms a very high energy team. Important area. Once the team is done, what do they do? Again, six individuals. If you see their text, so one could be a satellite design. There's a guy who's specialist in payloads, structural design guy. Then there's a person who directs, who manages and works along with the teams. Then there is like somebody is a few who can condense things into a small area. So these are all set of people who have specialized in their own area. They there are no overlaps. However, one important thing is they are always aligned at all levels with the vision. At no point of time, their overall objective would be different. So you talk to these guys morning, evening, afternoon, day, night, they will still speak the same vision and the mission. So that's the beauty of this team. We talk about creating an empowering environment. What does it take? The picture symbolizes people are not here to work. They are here to have energy. They love what they do and they work what they want to do. They have freedoms of thoughts and ideas. They self own it, they define it, and they drive it. So it's basically defining a foster and culture to experiment and fail. When we talk about teams, we talked about ownerships, but we also talked about clear and respectful communication. Two person thinking, talking about, while other person may not be an expert, but then there is a mutual respect where the other person is listening. We have to be a patient listener to understand. There could be problems where the other person can discuss. So it's about being mentored among these team members, being open and communicative and seek guidance and support. That's being more like a family where things stay in this team. Problems, every team has challenges, every team has highs or lows, But then this team only works well when they collaborate and they discuss and they work together towards a common mission. Okay. Uh, this is insightful, and I think most of you would have definitely observed. Faster innovation. It's all the Indian version of the word jugaad. We have to innovate, innovate, innovate. Always think how you can do it differently. Always think how you can make it easy. What are within your defined boundaries on the budgets, on the times, on the skills, how you can make it happen. This team in the picture that if they can do it, and that is the same model they used to launch the satellite to Mars. Last but not the least, the team, the end result is something which is very beautiful and sweet. The teams should work together collectively. They should enjoy this success, and they should enjoy these moments and say, yeah, aha, these are the aha moments where people say, this is what we've done. Let's take things to the next level. I hope this example of the movie equation was something that you could correlate. How does a high performing team work? What are the ingredients, and how do we take it forward? Now we'll talk about a case study. So this we just spoke about what are the ingredients, how do we correlate. But now let's getting back to work. I believe the audience in this group would be either into products, working into IT products. They may be either working into IT into services, or they could be non-related work. But there are certain things that happen in our day-to-day work where we would need to augment it, where we would need some insights. How there's a scenario where we are talking to someone and there are challenges, but we need to build a team and take it forward. So let me take you guys to the next slide. So I'll take a pause here for you guys to read this case study for a minute, understand what is the problem statement, and then we'll deep dive into it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Thiaga. So the problem statement is there's a customer, like it could be a product company, it could be a services company. They say, hey, we are looking for an Indian partner. We are doing not so okay in our domain. We want to augment our capabilities. We are building in products. We want platform. We look for a partner in offshore, and we need to scale. Now, the big problem is in COVID, they cannot interact with us in person. We cannot interact with them in person, and everything has to be done during remote times. So, in this scenario, how do we take it out? So, there are a lot of challenges. We do not see there's it's difficult to build trust. It's difficult to get people. It's difficult to understand the business context. So, how do we go about it? If this problem statement comes up, so first of all, my teams would think what are the key challenges, what are the key areas that we need to think about when we get into a discussion with that customer. So first thing would be like, okay, um, why are they looking for? First question would be like, what do they want us to do? How do we align with the business need? Are they looking just for adding people, or they need a partnering model where they and us work together and build things forward? Important area for us, like if I'm an Indian partner, is how do I build a team? They say, okay, we want to work with an Indian partner, but then we can't drive you on a day-to-day basis. This is something that you have to own it and deliver it end to end. So my problem statement would be, I need a team of people, or I need a team of leaders who can own it, who can drive it, and they can take it to closure without asking a day-to-day operations. Because we as Indians have been it's been groomed that we seek directions rather than we driving things in the ecosystem. So this is one of the scenarios where like, okay, we need set of people who can say, hey, the guys, we need to be done. This needs to be done. We need an ownership model, and we want to drive it and take it to closure. If the customers, if the stakeholders are like, they're open and they say, okay, we want you guys to own it, then an important thing is how do we build an environment of openness, transparent communication, and trust for them to treat partners in India at the same level. There should be there should be a platform where they call us, hey guys, you're not doing this, why don't you do it in a different way? And we also should be able to call out, okay, we need Mr. XYZ or Mr. James Bond, we need help from you to make sure that we do it better, and then how we take it to the end result. To do this, there is a very important thing, which is the most difficult part, is to build and earn trust with the key stakeholders. Remember, everything is remote. They haven't met us, because if these guys travel to India for 3-4 days, or we get a travel to there for 3-4 days, things are very, very different. In-person presence versus a remote connect is very different. A day before yesterday, I was attending a session and somebody talked about So there was an entrepreneur in the Bay Area, and he spoke about like how the connects have dropped in remote times. If you have a meeting in person, so you go to that person and say, hey, okay, when the meeting starts, there's a lot of informal talks that happen, and when the meeting ends, it's like people stand at the water cooler or near the coffee shop and they chit chat. So there are a lot of cues and there are a lot of personality things that we capture when we are in person. In COVID, unfortunately, a meeting starts at 3, a meeting ends at 4. At 4, the Zoom goes down, the webinar goes down, and people are like, oh, things are done. So those bonding times, those connect times are not happening. And that is one of the very important reasons that earning trust, earning a connect is taking time, longer time. And some of the times it's all about vocal, written, and oral communication that is making an impact. So again, this is a learning that I've seen, that we have to be very, very explicit. Our body languages on webcams, like especially when we do team meetings, if we are not connecting with everybody on a video cam, it's very difficult to actually understand if the team members have got it. So these are times where it is everybody, including we, the team members, all the stakeholders have been, they have to step up to a level where we openly talk, we communicate more than needed, so that we can have a better connection and better trust. So this is one of the key areas to build a relationship between all of us. Again, how to enable an environment where we foster innovation. So in these times where customers will come and say, hey, we want to do this, which is something which is not there on the roadmaps, but our teams have to innovate. They have to think out of the box how they can make things better and easier. Again, there'll be lot many unknowns. We haven't seen them in how the organizations work, but then we also have to try thinking our ideas and using the initial models of trust and communication to say, hey, this is what we've done, does it align with your objective, does it is it something that you guys do it? There'll be two things, either they say yes, either say no, but the perspective they'll draw about us would be, okay, now they know what we have to be done. And also they may not have it on their radar, but then it expands into their portfolio. This is an interesting insight I'll share from my experience. So this is exactly what a stakeholder, what a partner that we have started in Incido in my organization 8 months back. So I was talking to the head of products there and say, hey, what are the products that you're using? And she say, oh yeah, we need to augment it. We need to do some feature development. And the discussion started on getting into analytics. So that is one of the areas that I'm pretty passionate about. And I talked to that lady. She's a 35-year-old veteran to product management, and she said, oh, we have that on a roadmap, but we don't, like, this is not something we are very passionate about. We spoke for almost 35 to 40 minutes on what their products can do. I gave her some ideas based off my experience with working with other teams, what can be done onto that product. After 30 minutes, she just smiled and said, Vatsalya, things that you are talking about was on my 3-year roadmap. Talking to you, it gives me the confidence that you and your teams can bring it further. I will consider it into my this year's product roadmap, and I'm definitely positive that once these features are included, our product, like the market share or the customer base, would expand substantially. And I was like, thank you for doing that, but what stops you from doing that? She spoke about two things. Neither they had the vision, neither they had the capability, neither they had the confidence in any of their teams. So the intent of getting aligned with us as a partner gave her that confidence. Okay, now there is someone who also echoes the same thought. They have that capability, and definitely they'll be able to scale it and take it further. While we talk about the key challenges, let me talk about the approach. Like that how in this situation where we are supposed to engage with a stakeholder or a customer in a partnership model, what should we be doing? Like how do we take it forward in a real case scenario? How we take it further? We talked about open communication, building a team. So first and foremost important thing before we get into nitty gritties is to understand what they want. You For people from the services organization, they'll connect it better. The customers of, hey, I need two devs, I need two QAs, I need two testers. But what is they want to do? If we just feed in those people, they'll get their work done, but we will never be aligned on what is eventually what type of people they want. It could be possible that in US or in UK, a developer with 15 to 20 years experience, and we have a developer of 5 to 7 years experience, so there's a lot of gap in maturity and understanding. So if they come up and say, I need a 20-year-old guy who can code on the .NET Core services using AWS, we may not have those people because they're already architects. So we can fit in only we understand what is their vision, what do they want to do, what is their overall plan. A very candid discussion that needs to be done from our side and their leaders to make sure that we are all aligned. Once it is done, we understand, then we get to an Indian flavor. Okay, how do we bring our set of people? How do we define and execute it? For example, for it, very, very important to have the right mindset of people. In our previous discussions, we talk about initiating seed members who are core experts, who are positive. By core experts, I am not talking about PhDs from Stanford's or MIT's. They know, they should know their job well. Plus, they should have the temperament, the attitude of getting things done. He or she should be a guy and say, okay, I don't know this technology, I don't know this tech stack, but give me 2 days or 3 days, I will get it done. And this is one of my favorite. Like when I interview candidates, one of the first things I get into the level of interviews at L3 and L4. That's the third or fourth level, whose candidates whose technical evaluations have been done like 3 years, 12 years, 15 years. My simple question is, what does it take for you to learn a new technology? If that person has an inclination of grasping it, more very, I think 5 to 10% of those candidates will say, if I don't know this, it's fine, but I understand a similar technology stack and it will take me X days or a week to get onto it. My next question comes up: how do you enrich yourselves? What are your key ingredients where you learn? People say, oh, I look on Google, I see YouTube's, but there will be very few individuals who will say, I have done a course on analytics in the last 6 months. I went to edX, I went to Coursera, I did a course, and I use that in my project. So these are the thoughts that are very, very important to bring the right set of people. I have had experience of hiring people with 2 years of experience, pure passionate guys who have been able to transform, get into work or DevOps, where people with 10 to 12 years have not been able to do that. Is it skill? Yes, but it's more than, it's more, what is more important is the attitude and aptitude. That guy had a hunger to succeed. I enabled him to do that, and he did fantastically well. So these are the set of people that we should look for. It's not only have a JD of 10 skills, these people do tuck 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 tuck, they meet 8 by 10, they're done. No, that is just the start. Now, are they up for taking up new challenges, to have the temperament? Then these are the people that we look for. So this core. So once we have the C team members, so there's a, so this is, these are specialists who are on board. Now, if I correlate to another example like a movie like Chak De, we had, like in that movie we have people from coming from different states who are the best. But a beautiful dialogue by when Shah Rukh Khan as a coach asks, which team are you part of? People say I'm from Karnataka, people say I'm from Delhi, I'm from UP, I'm from Rajasthan, but then people start saying I am from India. So the moment they say that, the whole things change. And that is where they start thinking of a common vision and their common success criteria. So that is the key ingredient to making sure that, though which area of part of the world you are from, but if you have a common vision, then definitely this team is already set up for success. Once this team is set up, there's a very important thing for people to think, to debate, to discuss, and come out with the best decisions. My key learnings: you get these team members, but you don't give them opportunities to learn. You don't give them opportunities to share your thoughts. You feed them that this is to be done. They'll die down. 6 months, they'll try it, their performances will be low. The best model is from this scene team. What I tried making is, I made a very small set of people who are more mature, who understand the customer, to take the decisions on behalf of the team. So out of a team of 30, these 4 or 5 people will decide what is to be done, what are the key ingredients, what are the decisions that need to be done. So even if I'm getting into a discussion with the stakeholders, it will not be only my thought. I have a think tank, something like when a prime minister speaks, it's not he speaking, it's a cabinet of ministers or it's a team who's assisted in the background to tell him, okay, this is the what you would be speaking. So if I am interacting with the stakeholders, I'll say, oh, this is what we have. But interestingly, if this core team members, any of these people, they speak on the corresponding areas to the stakeholders, they will be speaking on the same vision, same thought that has already been discussed in the core team. So while one person is speaking, but the mind of this core team, 4 or 5 people, is already behind that. And what my experience has been, that decision is very mature. That decision is very, like, it's in a way where the customers or the stakeholders would never say no. Go to a big hospital, there's a doctor. He comes up and say, okay, how are you doing? But then he has a team working with him. So more teams, so there are more people around it. It's very likely to be a very mature decision going forward. We talked about democratic decisions. We talked about clear roles. So everybody comes in with a different experience. In this core group, I have an architect, I have an engineering managers. We could have stakeholders in terms of somebody is a scrum master. So these core people bring in expertise of the area and say, hey, if a design is being changed, what does it impact on schedule? What does it impact on the backlog? So they then again it becomes a very decision which is very balanced, and everybody knows what it would going to impact. So that talks about how does the decision making uh, clarity comes in. And the big thing is there's a sense of mutual respect. I speak my problem, this is what I'm gonna say, other people know about it. So people are very transparent, they respect each other, and this again is a very important ingredient to make sure that the teams, they are all aligned with the common vision. While we these cadence have been set, important thing is this team should talk more frequently. In COVID times, again, unfortunately, we are not meeting in person, so that is one thing. This team needs to spend time, like a 30-minute or a 1 hour every week. If they do it in person, nothing like it, but then they need to be opening up they get onto their camps and the webinar on the sessions, and they speak out. It could be work, it could be non-work, but then this is the think time. Their alignment on terms of work, personal stuff, how things are going should be very well done. A beautiful example I can quote here is, out of these core teams, one person got down and say, hey, I'm down with COVID, my family is out with COVID, and I cannot continue, I'll take 4 weeks off. And the customer was all hanky panky, oh, I don't know what the product would be, how would you manage that? The core team stepped up and say, hey, Mr. XYZ, don't worry, we'll shoulder that responsibility. That responsibility was spread across the rest of the stakeholders, and trust me, for the next 1 month, the customer did not even feel that there was a gap there. One of the key person was not on the team. The rest of the team shouldered that responsibility so beautifully well, and then things went down. So this speaks a lot about what teams can do together when they are united with a common objective. And one learning that I have had from this team is, once these teams know what is to be done, they're clear with the vision, they know what the stakeholders want. Now, if it is time to build their teams, the best people to build their teams are these people. So my thought is to enable these people to decide who should be part of their team, who should be part of their team, who should not be part of the team. Again, it's very easy, because if they are part in the process, they own that process, so they know what is the mindset that we should be having. So they will, it's highly likely they will bring in the similar set of people into the teams, which will make their work easy. Plus they'll have better confidence, because now there's a people, they have been handpicked. Again, the responsibility and their ownership increases on these people, because this is the cohort that they have built it on their own. So this is a high energy team, and then you give them freeway. I'm sure these teams can make wonders. So this stitches back to the fundamental things of what is a high performance team. No rock stars, but you enable their team, give them an environment, build them mutual respect and trust, and make sure that they'll not wow that customer. They'll make sure that, for example, this team that I've built, and the chief product officer of this organization, she's a veteran lady of around 35 years experience, worked with Amazons and Googles. The first team, when this team started getting into the knowledge transfer session, the first statement, then when I talked to her, and she said, Vatsalya, this is one of the best teams from India that I've. And I was like, why do you think so? She said, the energy, the thought process, the questions that you guys ask is asking my teams to think about it. And for getting into a relationship with the customer for 2 weeks, I think that's a big compliment. Now, what this team can do, like I'll give an example to you guys. In Agile, we have a concept of sprint commitment ratios of how many story points we've committed and how many we've delivered. We did a first PI, that's 3 sprints. We did 30 story, we committed 30 story points, and we delivered 29. Our sprint commission commitment ratios was 99.35%. So the chief product officer and the chief executive, so when we are getting into a quarterly business review, the first question they came up to me was, Vatsalya, how are the teams doing? I said the teams are doing bad. And she was like, why do you think so? I said, we did not deliver what we committed. Our teams failed. She said, okay, how much is your commitment ratio? I said, we did 99.35, but I think we are 1.65% short of what we should be delivering. She said, okay, do you know what is the commitment ratios of my team? I said, I don't know. She said, our teams are operating at a commitment ratio of 85%, which is almost 15% lower than yours. I told her that for me, my team's commitment ratio are very important, and I need to look into it. Next time we get into the quarterly business review with that customers, our team come up with a commitment ratio. They committed 30, they delivered 32, and our numbers were 102.6. I smiled when I presented them to the executives. That lady came back to me and say, "Okay, Vatsale, are you happy now?" I said, "Yes, my teams are now delivering what they want to do." Then she smiled and she said, "Do you know what is our commitment ratios?" I said, last time you said it is 85." She said, "No, it is not 85 anymore. They have brought it to 91." I said, "Okay, how did that happen?" And then she said, "Thank you guys for making it happen. Because if you guys can operate at 100%, so my question to my teams was, why do you want to be at 85?" They took up that challenge to reinvent and reorganize, came back, they brought in, they reorg their orgs and the special teams. And she said, "Now we have a trend of 91%, but thank you for bringing it up. In the next quarter, I think we would be at the same level of yours." So in 3 months, we were able to transform a 15-year-old organization who have been running at a level lower than what we were operating. But then this speaks a lot about what we can do, what how we can impact the customers and the stakeholders and everybody around us to make sure the energy levels are high. Now, to give an example, we talked about 5 product lines. Out of 5 product lines, our teams are working on 3 of the product lines. We own these 3 product lines, and the bread and butter, the product which is being sold the most, is done entirely by the India teams. So for a company of 1,000 plus to have their main product being done by an Indian partner speaks a lot about trust, which talks about trust, mutual respect, as you speak about. So that is gone to the highest level, I'll say. Interestingly, all due COVID, they haven't traveled here. We haven't traveled to their base locations. But then it speaks up a lot about what they want to do. Now their discussions with us are not, can you, like, this needs to be done. Now these people who are like 30 plus years of veteran of experience, they come up and say, "Hey, we are planning to do this. Guys, what do you think about it?" And now our core team members are into their strategy decision making. They are into their product roadmaps. They are involved in their go-to-market strategies. So this is more of a relationship, and will definitely make it happier and successful for these organizations. I'm just closing towards what we spoke about in the case studies. I'll just map this approach to the components that we talked about. We're talking about, when we talk about understanding the vision from them, it's like, what do we want to do? What is the clear and common vision? That's the HPT component we talk about. Hiring C team members was assembling the right team, as we saw in the initial slides. Core group democratic thought process, clear roles and responsibilities, open and respectful communication, trust and respect, which is very, very important in these times, and an empowering environment. So these 4 elements, they will make sure that this core group will do wonders. And in my case, believe me, it has been more than successful. It's been, for me, it's like I've been doing that for some time, but this was an example where I transformed a 15-year organization in 3 months. So that was a big boost, no matter what my manager talks to me about in the feedbacks. But this is a big takeaway for me, that we have been able to impact customers outside the teams that we're working. Last but not the least, celebrate success. This team is set, like once we do well, the execs have told us when they visit us, it is going to be a big thing for us. There'll be a lot of celebrations. We teams, there is a high possibility of our teams being sent to a paid vacation for 5 days. So again, this all sums up how we build a team, we build a culture, and we take success to the next level, not for us but for our CS teams. So that is, thank you very much. This is all I had to speak about for my case studies, and I'll open up for question and answers.
Yeah, thank you, Vatsalya. Thank you for sharing the case study and the insights. We have 4 minutes in hand, and we can take up probably one question, which is asked by Daman. He's asking, how do you build bonding and trust between team members, and what you're doing differently in COVID times?
So, Daman, a very good question, and I have touched upon these points in various forms, but to answer it, like, bonding and trust between team members does not happen in a short way. So there has to be a lot of discussions, a lot of openness. For example, team members. One of our examples is this team. They have built a Teams group. We use MS Teams. So there's a group. Whenever any new person joins in, he or she is gives they make a 5 minute video about themselves, so they can so there are some people have they open up themselves up. They have I have found poets, we have lead guitarists, we have people who can do skits, and we can do, like, there was a stunt biker, there were people who have traveled around the world, somebody has gone solo from Kanyakumari to Chennai. So these are personal experiences which people speak about. There was a guy from Pune I hired recently. He was like, "Oh, I'm a stunt biker," and then people talked to him for 10 minutes. What do you do differently? He spoke about what life he's learned, what are the challenges they've learned, and that was a very very inspiring session when everybody talked about. So you allow people to intermingle, you allow them to share thoughts and ideas, and definitely, I believe it's no rocket science. It's just getting the right set of minds together in one room, and then like you'll just let it happen. I hope I answered your question,
Sure. So
Naman.
we still have,
Yeah, go ahead, Nupur.
yeah, hopefully. Yeah, so we have 2 minutes in hand, and I'm thinking if we can cover more questions, probably at least one question, which is asked by Neil Kant. He says, if you join a new company and you have got a team which is not doing good, you have a responsibility to make it high performance team. So what would be your approach?
Okay, Nilkant, this is a very good question. So when we say teams are not going good, one, you need to understand what are the gaps. It could be possible they are not getting what they want. Secondly, there are a lot of ambiguity. There could be a lot of latency in the team. Some could be like they're just living along. For example, if I am part of a team and not I am not given an opportunity to express my thoughts and ideas, I'll stay mum. I'll take a backseat. So you have to first figure out what is there in the environment that is impeding these people. Say 60 to 70% of my analysis would be because of the environment. They are not being given what they want. If you unravel that, you fix that, you will start identifying these people as stepping up. Secondly, you need to understand, figure out who are the best people of your group. You have to get them together in a room, you have to give them a vision, you have to motivate them. And if these people start performing, use these people as role models for the rest of your teams to see, hey guys, if that guy can do, let's do it. Build a culture where people appreciate. Somebody does well, give him or her a pat on the back, appreciate her, acknowledge her, make them people an experience, like, okay, this is what you've done. So people, they do not go only for money when people talk about nutrition or hirings. Or so if you give them a place of appreciation, a respect in the team, that goes a long way on fortifying that place. In my experience, a person does fantastically well, we highlight them into the monthly and the weekly boards, but we also have a place folder on our floors where there's a big poster, there's a digital poster where that person's image and a citation from the manager stays. So that stays for a month. So if I'm a team member, if I'm being appreciated, it means the proud moment that the entire floor in my organization knows who am I. And that goes in a lot of people getting into out of their shells and doing what it makes better.
Sure. Thank you, Vatsalya. Thank you. With this, we are just 1 minute over our session time. So thank you once again on the behalf of everybody present here.